Hello everybody. If you didn't see the last two videos, we recently made 2 attempts at a passage from Virginia to Turks and Caicos. The first in November, we had a major problem that made us return to port. The second, on the last day of the year, also had issues, but we pressed on and made it. We then spent 3 weeks at the Blue Haven Marina enjoying the sun, island, beaches, and reef. Now, at the end of January, it is time for Laura and I, and the cats and the dog, to cast off the dock lines and begin our cruising season. We first head to West Caicos, then cross to Little Inagua, and then to Great Inagua to check into the Bahamas, before making Laura's first overnight passage to the Ragged Island chain. We reach our first anchorage in the Bahamas at the uninhabited Little Inagua Island, where I do some snorkeling in the clearest water I have ever seen. The next morning, we make another day sail and reach Great Inagua, stopping in Man-O-War Bay, where Ripley and I find this abandoned church.
Back to the dinghy. Okay.
Here we can check into the country, but we have to wait a few more days. A north wind will keep us hiding on the southern side of the island, along with 5 other boats and the supply ship for the island.
Serenity is way the hell out there. 1.5 miles.
After the blow, we are able to anchor just outside of Town, where I'm able to check in. I also installed the new water maker membrane, and we are able to make water again, just in time as the tanks were getting very low. Town is where the Royal Bahamian Defence Force, a essentially their Navy and Coast Guard, maintain a cutter to protect their southern waters, since Great Inagua is the southernmost Bahama island. The cutter was leaving port the same morning Serenity left for an overnight crossing to our next Bahamian island chain called the Ragged and Gementos Islands.
Look at that. Everybody's in the cockpit.
We arrived in Southside Bay of Ragged Island in dead calm and misty rain, just ahead of another north blow.
So there's 8 other cats in here plus a fishing trawler, another fishing trawler with a bunch of little boats here on the Ragged Island. That is weird. Right near the airport. Hey, Rip. Everything lashed down for this big ragged.
We end up staying here 2 weeks because the engine fails to turn on when we try to leave. I suspect the engine panel, and I have a new one sent on a supply ship to the only inhabited settlement here. We have to hike to Duncan Town, across the runway and over the hill.
Okay, coming up on the airport runway we have to cross to get to town. Duncan Town, where we hope to get some groceries, package, and diesel. Sorry you came.
Yes. I thought I was reaching the top, and we're not there yet.
No, the other top. Boy, that's the Ragged Police, all right. Success.
It's a very long walk. We gotta ride back.
Turns out the problem is the wiring harness, not the panel. So I have to move the engine panel into the engine room to start and stop the engine. Not ideal, but now we can move on up the chain of uninhabited islands. We won't see civilization again for weeks when we reach Georgetown in the Exumas. The next stop is Hog Key with the Ragged's best beach and cruiser hangout. We are here for the Valentines Day Cookout and Cruisers Auction, which raises money for the local school. We move up to Double-Breasted Key for a couple of days. This gives me time to explore the area where sailing YouTubers Delos and Calico Skies and several others spent months during the COVID lockdown in 2020.
Apparently, this is all that remains of TTYC.
But then it is time to return to Hog Key for a bit. I need to take the long dinghy ride across the Hog Key Cut and down the canal to Duncan Town to get gasoline for the dinghy before we start heading up the chain of islands.
Okay, the dock is a bit of a wreck. Courtesy of Hurricane Irma, I guess. A wreck out there, a wreck in here, and the dock is oof. We're gonna get gas, get rid of our garbage, and see what the grocery store has. Appears to be no traffic today.
With that done, it's time to head back to Serenity to weigh anchor and do some island hopping. Watch for our next video where we stop at some spectacular and isolated islands. We meet Bruce and friends, and finally reach Georgetown in the Exumas, but not without some problems.